can now cross the street safely as a new traffic signal is installed on a very popular intersection.
I staked it out one Saturday morning and my heart was in my mouth every time I saw a little group of kids running across the street. And I was just waiting to see a 10-year-old get run over. It was a huge danger, and so we did everything we could to push it forward, and this is a great day now that we were able to actually formally light the signal. There we go. All right.
It's also important because it is also the beginning of our bicycle-friendly streets. We got a grant a number of years ago to install some neighborhood-scale bike-friendly treatments to make biking in our neighborhood safer and more pleasant. A little bike lane pocket as well as a bike signal.
Also really important because it's part of our larger plan to create these neighborhood greenways through our area that will allow people to really have an enjoyable experience walking and biking through the neighborhood.
Seniors get into the dance groove at this party. The hosts, Metro Art and Metro's On the Move Riders program. And while it's fun, it also helps Metro get more seniors to take trains and buses. Anna Marcos joins the bash at El Pueblo.
These senior citizens are getting down and they get a little wild as they dance to the tropical beat of Susie Hansen's Latin band.
A lot of people are dancing, and the more they dance, the better we play.
I want to enjoy myself. I'm going to be 88, and I want to enjoy myself all I can.
And Tina Martinez is enjoying herself with double the fun. She's part of a mother-daughter duo.
Getting my exercise.
The party at El Pueblo is part of the Raised on Records concert series for seniors, held at different places throughout LA County. It's put on by Metro's On the Move Riders program and Metro Art.
Well, I don't want to get rusty.
It's good for memory. It's good for, it releases endorphins, so you feel better. It's a way to just have fun with your fellow seniors.
But this is about more than just fun dance moves. Metro wants to get these seniors on the move, and that's why it has about a dozen booths to show them how to get around town and have fun.
Our On the Move Riders program strives to empower older adults to learn how to use the buses and trains. So we throw in some transit education with a little salsa today, and to hopefully excite them about using public transportation.
Many of these seniors are taking part in the On the Move Riders program and its network of social clubs, 30 all over the county. Some of these guys are even travel buddy volunteers.
There's travel buddies who plan the trips.
Last week we went to the Universal City Walk. We took 15 people with us. We've been in Santa Monica, the beach. We've been twice of that. Good for seniors to get them out of the home. A lot of people kind of enjoy watching TV, sitting down, doing nothing. And we almost go home and knock on the door, some of my neighbors too, to get them out. And some of them are with us today.
We enjoy being around people.
A song that I wrote. How many people
we teach them how to get around on the bus if they've never been on the bus.
Absolutely. To dance, to meet new people, to be active in any way is always a good thing.
With senior outings like this, hopping on LA's trains and buses just doesn't get more fun.
If you're a senior who'd like to know more about the On the Move Riders program, its clubs, or volunteer opportunities, visit metro.net/on the move or call 213-922-2299. Well, he played a major role in the cultural history of Los Angeles from the 1800s to the 1920s. Charles Fletcher Lummis lived in Northeast LA and in 1907 founded the Southwest Museum, the first public museum in LA. The three-day Lummis Festival honors his great contributions to our city.
Lummis Days is the festival of Northeast LA, but it's a celebration of the diversity and the talent and creativity of Northeast LA neighborhoods. We named the festival after Charles Lummis because Charles Lummis was the first person to talk about the concept of multiculturalism in Los Angeles. He was a very seminal figure in LA history. First city editor of the LA Times, the city librarian very, very early on. This is the Southwest Museum, which was founded by Charles Lummis. Lummis also founded this place which, as the city's first museum, and also his home, which is just a few blocks away from here, Lummis Home, which he built by hand from River Rock, is a city park as well.
We're painting sort of the time that Lummis lived and back to actually the turn of the century. So we have models that go back to that era. And we're painting them here at different locations at Southwest Museum.
Lummis fought to preserve Native American culture. He fought to recognize the contributions of Latino culture here in Los Angeles. He was very, very involved at a time when that was very unfashionable in bringing in other groups and forging a culture out here, a society out here in Los Angeles.
When it comes to keeping your community clean, sometimes it does take a village. Residents in MacArthur Park rolled up their sleeves and helped clean their neighborhood.
When Public Works comes in with a cleanup, we come in with everything. We come in with the trucks for bulky items. We come in to paint over the graffiti. We weed abate. We give out trees. We inform the community in different resources. We build groups, and we build a community within a community on cleaning up, and those that are interested in cleaning up.
I just moved to the neighborhood, and I hate walking to my car because there's so much trash on the street, and I wanted to be a part of beautifying. Look at all these volunteers and this trash. None of these people even live in this neighborhood. They're coming from other neighborhoods to help us in our neighborhood, and I hope that my neighbors and the residents of this area take a look and sustain it.
I like picking it up because I don't like people littering. That's making the park dirty.
I feel like I'm a superhero and the park is in trouble and I'm saving it.
Wherever we live, we want it to be clean.
Please take care of your neighborhoods.
They are the champions again. The Granada Hills community celebrates another national title. Students now have one less thing they need to pay for, and Metro adds more electric bikes to their fleet. All this in City Beat. Councilmember Greg Smith was on hand to celebrate Granada Hills Charter High School's 7th U.S. Academic Decathlon National Championship in the last 9 years. At the ceremony, a championship sign was unveiled showing passerbys who the current champs are.
It's a great achievement that these young students have risen to the highest level of academic achievement in the United States of America.
As part of a one-year pilot program, students from LA Unified School District and LA Community College District will be offered free Dash Bus passes. The LA DOT and council members Paul Krikorian and Mike Bonin collaborated on this program to help students cut extra costs. Why deal with the hassle of driving in LA when you can get around on bike? Metro just added 300 more electric bicycles to stations across the city. Download the Metro Bike Share app to find a nearby station and ride off to your destination. As we age, we can all use a little help staying fit and healthy. That's why the Department of Rec and Parks put on a health fair offering a variety of services to help our seniors live longer, healthier lives.
We're here today and we're collaborating with Humana because it's so important for older adults to learn about fitness demonstrations, the fitness activities that are available to them through recreation and parks, as well as all the resources that we have here from community and city and county to help them become more healthy, more active for longevity.
Humana has a partnership with the LA Parks and Recs to help their seniors provide free educational information about health and wellness. Many people don't know all the benefits available to them, so we're providing this free service to them to educate them on the opportunity that they can expand their Medicare coverage with Humana.
I think health fairs are so crucial to engaging with the community. It's really a way to promote health and wellness, a way to drive people to be more aware of what's going on with their body and health as it pertains to the community in general.
We have clinicians here that can talk to them about their health and make recommendations for them so they can seek their and ask questions to their own health care provider.
I think it's an advantage for people to come out and take a part in what's around them, in their surrounding area. Anytime you want to increase your knowledge about health and wellness, take advantage of it.
Celebrate Pride Month with the first ever Pride at the Port event. Take part in an Ancestor Festival of the Mask. And if you love bread like I do, don't want to miss the Bread Festival at Grand Market. All this in Things to Do. Come join Councilman Joe Buscaino and the Bridge Cities Alliance for the first annual Pride on the Port of Los Angeles. Hosted on the LA waterfront at the Battleship, Iowa, this one-day festival welcomes everyone to join in on the celebration with cocktails, food trucks, dancing, and more. Pride on the Port LA has its maiden launch on Saturday, June 15th, beginning at 11 a.m. The event is happening at the Pacific Battleship Center, located at 250 South Harbor Boulevard, berth 57. For tickets, visit ctickets.us. The Day of the Ancestors Festival of the Masks returns for its 8th year. This event brings communities together to honor the ancestors and celebrate culture from the vast African diaspora. Enjoy a mask-making workshop and musical performances at the Day of the Ancestors Festival of the Masks, happening Saturdays in June starting at 1 p.m. Festivities take place in Leimert Park Village Plaza at 4343 Leimert Boulevard. For details, check out their listing on eventbrite.com. The Los Angeles Bread Festival is back. Get ready to carbo load as Grand Central Market hosts the 5th year of this popular bread festival. This free one-day event is a celebration of SoCal's artisanal bread renaissance. This pop-up marketplace will be showcasing local bread bakers, as well as bread-centric workshops and demonstrations. The LA Bread Festival takes place at the Grand Central Market Saturday, June 15th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 317 South Broadway. For more info, visit grandcentralmarket.com/events. And that's a look at some things to do. That's it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more of LA This Week.
Los indios dicen que el río está cerca. We enter a spacious valley, well grown with cottonwoods and alders. The plain where the river runs is very extensive. It has good land for planting all kinds of grain and seeds, and is the most suitable site of all that we have seen for a mission. But it has all the requisites for a large settlement. Father Juan Crespi, 1769.
It is hard to imagine today, but in the first half of the 20th century, the Los Angeles Basin was the most prolific agricultural area within America. From citrus to walnuts, from sugar beets to olives, from dairy to poultry, the enormity of agricultural product produced was unmatched anywhere. Thousands of acres of fragrant
Los Angeles City Council meeting. Today is Wednesday, June 20th, and we meet on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Bluscaino, Cedillo, Harris Dawson, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Smith, Wesson, 10 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Moved by Ms. Rodriguez and second by Mr. Rue. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Okay, moved by Mr. Blumenfield and second by Mr. Harris Dawson. Next.
Madam President, there is a request to continue item 3 to June 19, 2019.
Okay, without objection.
Items 1 through 3 are items noticed for public hearing. For item number 1, the tabulated value of opposing ballot cast does not exceed the tabulated value of supporting ballots cast, 70.98% to 29.02%. Thus, the majority protest is found not to exist, and the proposed establishment of the Village at Sherman Oaks Property Business Improvement District may be authorized at this time. For item number 2, the tabulated value of opposing ballot cast does not exceed the tabulated value of supporting cast, 83.7% to 16.3%. Thus, the majority protest is found not to exist, and the proposed establishment of the Studio City Property and Business Improvement District may be authorized at this time. Madam President, there are cards on 1 and 2.
Members, are there any specials on items 1 and 2?
There's cards. So next is items 4 through 24, and those are items for which public hearings have been held. The committee report for item number 24 has been submitted, posted, and circulated for council's consideration.
Are there any specials on these items? Let's go ahead and vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Items 25 through 28 are items scheduled for closed session. Would you like to hold them on the desk?
Mr. Krikorian, would you like to speak to these items, sir?
You hold them on the desk for now.
We're going to hold them on the desk. Thank you.
Next on the continuation agenda are items 29 and 30, and those are items for which public hearings have been held. However, those items, the public hearing needs to be reopened on those.
Okay, let's go ahead, Madam Clerk, and hold those items as well on the desk.
Madam President, that takes council back to presentations, items called special, or public comment.
Mr. Krikorian, are you ready for your presentation? Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Madam President and colleagues. It's a great honor, but also with a tinge of sadness for me today to recognize Tim Brown, who has been the longtime program director for New Directions for Youth, who, as all of you who represent the San Fernando Valley know, what a dramatic impact New Directions for Youth has had for our most vulnerable young people in the San Fernando Valley. And a big part of that has been Tim's leadership, Tim's dedication, Tim's commitment to that organization and to the young people of the San Fernando Valley. Tim was a graduate of Cal State Northridge, studied sociology there, and then began his career as a facilitator for substance abuse classes, life skills, and career education workshops. So right from the beginning, Tim's dedication to youth and helping them to have a more positive direction in their life has been there right from graduating from college. He organized field trips and speakers to work with at-risk and juvenile probationers as a youth counselor with the Asian American Drug Abuse Program in Los Angeles. And then over the last 2 decades of service with New Directions for Youth, Tim has really been an extraordinary leader who's worn his heart on his sleeve, who's gone the extra mile at every opportunity, always with a smile and always lifting up and bringing others with him. He always goes the extra mile in working with my office, and I'm sure with all of yours, in community beautification efforts and other projects that NDY has taken on and that Tim has led. He's always the first one to arrive. He's always the last one to leave. He's always doing the extra things that a person in his position probably wouldn't be expected to do, but Tim does it because of his love for the work and because of his love for the outcome and for his love for the people that he's serving. While at New Directions for Youth, Tim coordinated 4 after-school enrichment programs designed to help at-risk youth, foster youth, and juvenile probationers to improve their academic performance and behavior. He conducts a needs assessment on every single youth as an individual who comes and participates to be able to target the sorts of things that that individual needs in their life and then to deliver it. His success as program director at New Directions for Youth is a result of his dedication, his commitment, his compassion, and his hard work, and I just couldn't be more pleased to be able to recognize Tim, although I'm awfully sad to see him move on to his next stage in life. He's accepted a position at Mount San Antonio College, continuing to work with young people with a position in the Children's Institute at Mount SAC. But I want you to know, Tim, that although you won't be with us in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, although you won't be with New Directions for Youth, your legacy is going to go on in our community long after you've moved on because of the impact that you've had on young people and how that's changed their lives and the lives of people that they will touch as well. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all your commitment and all the difference that you've made for our community. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Wow, what a humbling experience I've had at New Directions for Youth. First off, I want to say how thankful I am and honored I am to be here today. I want to thank Council District 2, Mr. Paul Kokorian, and his staff, Ms. Jackie King, and all their field deputies for their support of New Directions for Youth over the past couple of years. I also want to thank, I couldn't take all the credit, I also want to thank New Directions for Youth. We have a strong team, and definitely going out there and making the community a better and a safer place. I also want to thank my higher-ups, Ms. Monica Austin Jackson. She's the executive director at New Directions for Youth, and I couldn't be more thankful and more honored to work for such an amazing executive director. And I also want to thank the our board of directors there. And then also, I want to also thank Mr. Paul Rax, who was under the Office of Beautification Program, and my monitor, Mr. Thomas Corrales, who has also been very supportive of New Directions for Youth over the last couple of years. And then last but not least, I definitely want to thank my pride and joy, Ms. Hannah Brown, just basically seeing her father go through all these positive changes over the course of the years. And I'm thankful and I'm honored to be here. And thank you so much for all you guys here for your support. Wonderful.
Stand up and wave, Hannah.
Madam Clerk, can we go ahead and send item 13 forthwith for Mr. Blumenfield? And let's go ahead and bring up item 19 to vote on reconsideration. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and just hold that on the desk for now. Mr. O'Farrell, Mr. Bonin, whenever you're ready.
City Council are preparing to walk in, just want you to remember these words. This is the words to a song that we use every Sunday at Unity Fellowship of Christ Church. Just repeat after me. Walk in the light. Come on, repeat after me. Walk in the light. Beautiful light. Come where the dewdrops shine bright. Shine all around us by day and by night. Love is the light of the world. Would you join us?
Walk in the light, beautiful light, from where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright. Shine all around us by day and by night. Love is the light of the world. Walk in the light. Walk in the light. Beautiful light. Beautiful light. Come where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright.
Shine all around us by day and by love is. Come on and walk in the light. It's a beautiful light. Come where of mercy shine. Shine all around us by day and by night. Love is. One more time, walk in the light. It's a beautiful light. Come where shine all around us by day and by night. Love is. Love is. Love is. Love, love, love. Love is. Love is. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor. Now, if you all don't do it, I'm going to have church right now. So look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, love is the light of the world.
Good morning, colleagues.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us today for the 9th annual LGBTQIA Heritage Month celebration here in Council. The voices that you just heard, those melodious voices, were the voices of Unity Choir. The noisy, sort of cacophonous voices you heard a few minutes ago, almost bursting down the door, were the chaotic voices of the LGBTQIA community. Spirited, energetic, enthusiastic, joyful, impatient, and diverse. Gay and straight allies, transgender and cisgender, black and white and Latino and Asian American and Native American, binary and non-binary. A diverse collection of who Los Angeles is and who Los Angeles is at its best, and who America is and who America is at its best. Some of you have been fortunate enough to join with us year after year as we have done these celebrations in these chambers, the first one initiated 9 years ago by my predecessor, Mr. Rosendahl. They have grown and they have changed every year. There were years when we did this where these pride celebrations were acts of defiance in the wake of the passage of Proposition 8. When our civil rights had literally been stripped away by our fellow voters. And there are years when these have been acts of joy. After the Supreme Court ruled and after President Obama said on national television, a moment that many of us never thought we would live to see, that gay marriage and marriage equality was the law of this land. This is a year for us of both joy and of defiance. Most of us just attended the incredible Christopher Street West parade in West Hollywood over the weekend. A number of you were there. Thank you for joining with us. It was, I felt, and many agree with me, larger than usual. And there was a very interesting and dynamic feeling at that event this year. We are celebrating joy. We are damn proud of who we are. And nobody is going to stop us or hinder us or do anything to silence our celebration and our pride. Thank you. At the same time, we acknowledge the moment we're in. We acknowledge that this is a moment of more peril for our community than it has been literally in generations. We have a federal government that is preaching hate and violence against our community. We have a government that is threatening our sisters and our brothers, particularly our transgender sisters and brothers. We have a government which will no longer allow the pride flag to be flown on our embassies. We have a government that is threatening our marriage rights, that is threatening our parental rights, that is threatening the very core of who we are. And in the face of that, we are both joyful and defiant. You kick us, and we get back up. You punch us, and we get together as a community, and we come together and fight in force. We saw that 50 years ago outside Stonewall. We saw that 52 years ago at the Black Cat. We saw it in the wake of Proposition 8, and we saw it 3 years ago in the wake of the Pulse nightclub massacre. We stand up and we fight for who we are. And we know in this moment the fight ain't just us. We know that the people coming for us are coming for women, and that they're coming for immigrants, and they're coming for African Americans, and they're coming for the elderly, and they're coming for workers and people who are sick. They're coming for children in schools who are victims of gun violence. And we're standing up to that, to say that we are queer, we are here, and we ain't going anywhere. So it is with joy and defiance and energy and spirit and resilience that we celebrate today. And we acknowledge that the celebration goes everywhere now. 10 years ago, this was the celebration in the city of Los Angeles. We had West Hollywood and we had this. The past couple years, we've had Pride in the Valley. We've had Pride in Venice. This weekend, we're going to have Pride at the Port. We have Pride in South Los Angeles tomorrow night. We have all sorts of Pride celebrations around Los Angeles because we are everywhere. So thank you for being a part of this. I'd like to introduce now my partner in LGBTQIA crime, Mitch O'Farrell.
Thank you so much, Mike, for, I think, articulating beautifully that not only do we get back up when they try to knock us down, but I don't know about you all, but I'm on the offensive, not the defensive, right? Yep. We've got to take this battle and be relentless in winning what we're up against. And Mike, I think you captured that spirit beautifully. Today we celebrate 3 influential honorees as part of our month-long Pride event festivities. In addition, this year we are celebrating queer identity in the City of Los Angeles LGBT Heritage Month. Over the years, it has become obvious that the letters L, G, B, and T don't explain fully who we are, not by a long shot, speaking to the breadth and depth of diversity within our community. And at a time when many are courageously coming out as gender fluid, gender non-binary, or gender non-conforming, it is paramount that we shine the spotlight on this identity. Just the other day, one of the stars of Queer Eye, Jonathan Van Ness, let the world know that he is a gender non-conforming individual. And today, we have one of our honorees, an outstanding young actor, Bex Taylor Klaus, living their truth as non-conforming to the binary. And earlier this month, this city council embraced Nico Tortorella as our official City of Los Angeles LGBT Heritage Month ambassador. Nico identifies as bisexual. People in our community like Nico, Jonathan, and our honoree Bex underscore the critical importance of elevating the gender fluid and nonconforming community onto the mainstream in our culture and society so that there is not further marginalization, ignorance of this identity, and intolerance of those who are living their authentic life. And in a way, this movement began because we were all non-conforming. So how wonderful it is that we can just obliterate that category entirely. Now more than ever, it is important for all of us to live our truth. Although we've made significant strides, some in our community are still forced in the shadows by a robust political force seeking to deny their identity and their rights. In Los Angeles, we're ready to stand our ground with pride. That's why today we honor the LGBT Center and Lori Jean. Let's hear it for Lori Jean. Archbishop Carl Bean. And actor Bex Taylor Klaus. These honorees have shown that this community is exceptional and that we will never be bullied into thinking otherwise. Quite the contrary, as I said earlier. Anyone who bullies will feel our wrath. I hope the NRA is listening. I am proud to be a member of this community while serving on the Los Angeles City Council and continuing to serve as a representative for everyone in the 13th District. Now I'd like to acknowledge my friend and a constituent of the 13th District, Aman Chowdhury, an artist who created the amazing image on the cover of this year's LGBT Heritage Month calendar and cultural guide. Is it on display in here somewhere?
We have it on.
There it is. Let's get it out. So this is, thank you. Thanks, Taylor. So this is Aman's art, and it's the cover, or you can just show it to everyone. He did this artwork, and his group is called Aman Creative. Did I get that right? Aman Creates. So this is his wonderful artwork, and it graces the monthly calendar and cultural guide. Thank you, Taylor. Now, something else that I want to talk about very briefly, because this is a celebration. We've just gotten pilloried over this homeless count that came out last week. Now, criticisms are fair, but I don't think the numbers tell the entire story of everything we're doing, and I talked about that a little bit last week. But I want people to understand something else. As chair of the Homelessness and Poverty Committee, I came into this committee knowing a lot of these statistics. As we work to solve homelessness, let's not forget that in our own community, 40% of LGBT youth, of homeless youth, are LGBT, identify as LGBT. That's always been the case. I came in that way. We know that. So just know that on this committee, on this city council, we understand what we're up against, but we're also making great strides. We work with the nonprofits who offer services to the LGBT youth and homeless individuals of every stripe. We're housing and have funded upwards of 7,000 units of HHH housing, approved, under construction, funded, et cetera. So as we know that there's room for everyone, we also know that we have to really, within this community, take care of our own. And in a moment, I'll get to talk about the person I get to introduce who's done so much work for our LGBT youth. So let's enjoy this celebration as we pay tribute to the exceptional honorees and to everyone. Happy Pride Month, and let's make this a year-round source of pride. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch. So before we introduce the honorees, there are a few dignitaries who would like to give some welcoming remarks. Mitch and I are blessed to not be just the only two LGBT elected officials in the city of Los Angeles. We have the first ever citywide LGBT elected official in our controller, Ron Galperin.
Good morning. Thank you so very much for the opportunity to be here, and happy Pride! It's great to be here for the kickoff of LGBTQ Heritage Month. Thank you so much to my LGBTQ colleagues, particularly Councilmember Mike Bonin, Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell. Thank you so much for being great colleagues year-round, and particularly on this wonderful day and on this month of LGBTQ Heritage Month. This is an opportunity to be proud of who we are, to be proud of our history, to be proud of those who came before us, to be proud of those who sacrificed so that we could progress, to be proud of the progress that we have made and the example that we seek to set, the example that is set by so many youth today and the changes that they are bringing about in our society. LGBT life in Los Angeles has been a great one for many. And yet, we have a lot of work to do. I'm very fortunate to be a citywide elected LGBTQ person in Los Angeles, in this amazing city that we live in. And we have made so much progress as a nation. But as was mentioned, there's also so much that is happening around the world, and particularly in Washington, D.C., that gives us tremendous reason for concern. So we are here not just with pride, but we are here with purpose so that we can rise to the challenges for LGBTQ youth, for our homeless youth, for the growing number of LGBTQ seniors, and so many others. By the way, we in the Controller's Office have a map that we have put out with LGBTQ youth resources. It's available on our site, more than 100 different resources in Los Angeles, and we hope that those who need them or those who have resources to offer will be a part of that. Early this morning, I had the honor of acknowledging the Trans Chorus of Los Angeles. They are here as well, and we have some amazing honorees. Before I close out, I just want to take a quick moment of silence, because today, the 12th of June, is also the 3rd anniversary of the massacre that occurred at the Polson nightclub in Florida. I remember that day so vividly. It was also the day of the Pride Parade here in Los Angeles. And there were 49 people, each wonderful human beings, that were murdered, and another 53 that were injured, some of them still living with the impacts of their injuries today. So I'd like to take just a moment to remember them. May their memory be a blessing, and may their memory inspire us to do great works today and for the next generations. Thank you.
We were joined earlier by our city attorney, Mr. Fewer, and our deputy chief, B. Gramala. Are either of them still here? B is here? Come on up.
Thank you so much.
B is always
here. No, I try. Good morning. It's a privilege to be here with all of you. On behalf of our Chief of Police, Michael Moore, and the 13,000 employees who are part of the Los Angeles Police Department, happy Pride. We will continue to do our best as a department to earn the trust that we continue to strive for every day with the LGBTQ community. We are grateful for the relationships built, but do not take them for granted. In addition to the prior moment of silence that Controller Galperin asked for, please keep in your hearts and minds and your thoughts as we go through this celebratory period that 9 transgender members of the community here in the United States of America lost their lives in violence. 9 members of the community to senseless violence. And as we remember them today here, let's just take a few moments to contemplate the loss to their families and their communities. Thank you. So much more work to do. We are here to join hand in hand with the LGBTQ community. We could not be more proud, but also grateful for the lessons they have taught us and the lessons yet to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Gurmala. Before we acknowledge the three citywide honorees, I want to also acknowledge that earlier this morning in the forecourt there was a breakfast reception where many of the council members honored individual honorees from their district. And Mr. Galperin acknowledged that he recognized the Trans Chorus of Los Angeles. From CD1, Mr. Cedillo's district, we honored the Trans Latina Coalition. Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. We honored Stephen David Simon from Mr. Krikorian's 2nd District. In the 4th District, we honored Gina Bigham and the Trans Lounge. In the 5th District, Mr. Koretz honored Brad Kane. Ms. Martinez honored Jay Warren, a young high school student who's doing amazing work in Arleta. In the 7th District, we honored Leanne Lansang. In the 8th District, Mr. Harris Dawson honored Malcolm Harris. In the 9th District, Christopher Burton wasn't here, but we give him a shout-out and a salute, a certificate to come for sure. In the 10th District, Mr. Harris Dawson honored for Mr. Wesson, John D. White. I had the pleasure of honoring Danny Samakow from Venice. And in the 12th District, we honored Ronald Felix Villarreal. And in the 14th District, Jake Stevens was honored. So let's all give them a round of applause, please. And to introduce our first honoree is Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mike. I get the great pleasure of introducing someone that I just feel like I hit it off with the moment I met her. She felt like one of my fierce Irish sisters immediately, and that is Lori Jean. Lori Jean. Currently serves as the CEO of the Los Angeles LGBT Center, the world's largest provider of programs and services for the LGBT community. Lori has played a major role in the LGBT rights movement, not only in Los Angeles, but in the entire country. Lori is a pioneer. Out magazine named her one of the most powerful gay and lesbian people in the nation twice. That's like winning 2 Oscars. Like a few years apart. That's how amazing you are. Los Angeles Magazine named her as one of the 100 most influential people in Los Angeles, one of the 10 most inspiring women in LA. An activist since 1979, serving as a plaintiff in the successful landmark lawsuit against Georgetown University that wanted to prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. 40 years ago. She was the first openly gay or lesbian in history to receive a top security clearance from the Central Intelligence Agency, something that the Trump staff has yet to do. In 1989, with her appointment as Deputy Regional Director of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, she became the highest-ranking openly gay or lesbian person in the federal government, a distinction she held until 1993 when President Bill Clinton appointed Roberta Achtenberg. In 1993, Lori started her first 6-year tenure at the helm of the center. The second tenure started in 2003. She's credited with leading the center through unprecedented expansion in neighborhoods throughout the Los Angeles area. Lori led the center's historic $67 million capital campaign to build the Anita Mae Rosenstein campus, which recently opened. Over the years, she's led thousands of riders and volunteers on a 545-mile journey down the coast of California to raise money for those living with HIV, improving the quality of life for many in Los Angeles through this work. The most recent ride saw a record fundraising. Lori was at $16.7 million. How about that? Since I've been in office, we've worked closely together on supporting LGBT policy issues, taking a position on the issues here in this country and abroad, like what's happening in Chechnya. We've worked together on providing shelter for our LGBT homeless youth. Celebrating its 50th anniversary in 2019, the Lgbt Center has cared for and championed our community and families since 1969. Today, the center's more than 700 employees provide services for more LGBTQ individuals than any organization in the world. The center welcomes more than 42,000 client visits each month. That's more than 500,000 visits each year, from health to legal to youth to seniors. The center recently opened the new Anita Mae Rosenstein campus, as I mentioned, an intergenerational campus for youth and seniors. The center's influence can be seen throughout Los Angeles with facilities in Hollywood, West Hollywood, Boyle Heights, and soon, South Los Angeles. Lori, we thank you for your leadership, for our community, and for being an angel in the City of Angels. Lori, you're a great partner and a friend and a sister to this elected body and our constituency. I give you Lori Jean.
Thank you very much for this wonderful recognition. It's thrilling to be in the presence of such inspiring honorees from each council district. And I stand on the shoulders of many people who came before me in Los Angeles and at the Los Angeles LGBT Center. For 50 years, we have grown into not only the nation's largest LGBT center, but we are the world's largest LGBT organization of any kind. And our 9 locations across town are located in 4 council districts: CD4, CD10, CD13, and CD14. We may be coming to a council district near you.
Looking forward to it.
But no matter where our locations are, people from all over Southern California come to us for service. Of those 500,000 client visits a year that Councilman O'Farrell mentioned, we have hundreds, if not thousands, of clients from each of your council districts who rely upon the services of the Los Angeles LGBT Center every single month. Now, why was this most amazing LGBT organization born in Los Angeles, and why have we thrived here? Well, I think the City of Angels gets a lot of credit. LA has always attracted people with big dreams, people seeking freedom, people who want to change their own lives and make the world better, people who are willing to be creative and think outside the box, pioneers in every sense of the word. The same has been true of LGBT Angelinos. We've had the courage and the audacity to dream big and to turn those dreams into reality even when nothing like them had ever been done before. In this month of gay pride, LGBT pride I should say, it's important to note that the pioneering LGBT history of Los Angeles goes back much further than the center's founding 50 years ago. Contrary to common belief, our contemporary movement did not start with the Stonewall riots in New York. It started right here in Los Angeles almost 20 years earlier with the founding of the Mattachine Foundation in 1950. The One Institute wasn't far behind. And the first riots against police harassment were not at the Stonewall Inn in 1969. They were 10 years earlier at Cooper Donuts and closed Main Street for an entire day. The list of LGBT movement firsts right here in Los Angeles goes on, and I'm proud that the Los Angeles LGBT Center has been a part of so many of them. Throughout this history, elected officials in LA have been among the most progressive in the nation. Today's City Council includes 2 openly gay men and many allies. Many of you have been champions of our community in our quest to build a world where LGBT people thrive as healthy, equal, and complete members of society. On behalf of our board of directors, our staff, our volunteers, and most of all our clients, thank you so much for this wonderful honor.
And here's the honor.
Woo-hoo! And look at that rainbow flag.
All right. What are we going to do? Which way are we going?
Thank you so much.
We can set this here.
Oh, one more.
Oh, another? Another, okay. Okay. You bet.
Good morning again. And now I have the honor of recognizing another amazing trailblazer, and that is the legendary Archbishop Carl Bean. Please give it up. It's also, by the way, an honor to follow the legendary Lori Jean, who has done an amazing, amazing job, not just here in Los Angeles, but as a world leader. And you have not just served hundreds of thousands, but you actually save lives each and every single day. And thank you so much for what you do. So in 1977, Archbishop Carl Bean released his Motown classic, I Was Born This Way, proudly proclaiming in the chorus, I'm happy, I'm carefree, and I'm gay, and I was born this way. Actually, that works for me really well. Needless to say, this became one of the greatest gay anthems of all time, played and popularized by DJs throughout the 80s, even inspired Lady Gaga to write her own version of the song in 2011. In 1982, when Reverend Carl Bean founded the Unity Fellowship Church movement, Los Angeles, the first black church for LGBTQ persons, which embraces the theology that God is love and love is for everyone, what a difference he has made since then. Since then, the church has expanded to more than 16 affiliates across the United States and the Caribbean. In 1985, he founded the Minority AIDS Project, also known as MAP, to educate and serve underserved communities and people of color in South LA affected by HIV and by AIDS. To date, MAP has helped more than 250,000 people. And just last month, after unanimous approval by the City Council, Council President Wesson designated the intersection of Jefferson Boulevard and Sycamore Avenue as Archbishop Carl Bean Square. On this day and on behalf of the City of LA, I am really humbled to honor Archbishop Carl Bean for all that he has done and continues to do for the LGBTQ community and everybody in Los Angeles. Now, unfortunately, Archbishop Bean is not feeling so well and could not be here today. But his co-pastors, Elder Russell Thornhill and Elder Leslie Burke, are here to accept this honor on his behalf. So please give them a round of applause as well. And thank you so very much for all of the great things that you do.
Good morning, everybody. It is truly, truly, truly an honor and a privilege, as well as a pleasure, to represent this great man and this great organization. I often tell people I've had different jobs, but this work with Minority AIDS Project, Unity Fellowship Church, alongside of Archbishop Carl Bean, has been a labor of love. So to those who don't know what that means, it means that although you're in the midst of issues and chaos and problems and prejudice and hate and all those things that come with misunderstanding and judgment, there's still a glow that comes from the heart because it's a love that you're passing on, lifting up, and helping other people. And so that labor of love has, for me, been since the beginning in 1985. And we were Minority AIDS Project, the first in the nation to target the community that was affected with HIV/AIDS in the minority area of Black and brown persons. And so we opened our doors, and it's been an up and a down journey, as you can well imagine. But with God on your side, with love in your heart, and with perseverance, you move forward and you overcome. And so it's here I stand today, so proud that we've been able to touch so many lives. And it's important to know that whether you are identified as straight or gay, bi, trans, any other label that is here or that may come in the future, there's one human race. There's one God, by whatever you call that name. And so we go forward with social justice, lifting people, caring for people, mind, body, and spirit. Our motto is God is love, and God's love is sufficient and for everyone. Also, we always make sure we tell each other and our clients, you are very special. Made in the image because God makes no mistakes. Amen. Thank you so much. Amen. God bless you, and let's continue the work.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. First, I'm going to invite our congregation and our staff to stand with us. The Minority AIDS Project team is here, the Unity Fellowship Church team. Why don't you all stand with us as we share with you. And as you heard earlier, Archbishop is unable to be here, and as I left him this morning, as I do each morning as his caregiver, he always says something to tell everyone when I leave him. He says, be sure to tell them I love them. And he says that to me every single day, wherever I go. So I just want to say to you from him, he loves you. Be sure to say, I love them. So he sent a message, and I would like to share that at this time from the Archbishop. I am humble and grateful today for this recognition by the Los Angeles City Council, President Herb Wesson, Controller Ron Galprin, Council Mike Bonin, Councilman Mitch O'Farrell, and the entire Los Angeles City Council. He goes on to say, I want to thank the village that produced me, all of my ancestors and those yet living, along with the chamber and the predecessors that were here that worked with him in his early days. He also extends his love and thank you to Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who walked with him in those early days, and Congresswoman Diane Watson, and Supervisor Yvonne Brathwaite-Burke, 3 women pillars in our community that stood with him when others said it couldn't be done in South LA. These 3 women stood with him all the days that he did his work, and President Herb Wesson. We honor the staff of Minority AIDS Project and the volunteers and Unity Fellowship of Christ Church. All of these individuals, he said, walked beside me from the beginning to this very present moment. I want to honor every human being ever served by Minority AIDS Project. And Minority AIDS Project continues to stand at the corner of Jefferson and Archbishop Carl Bean Square, serving clients every single day. I have always known that this work is the continuation of civil rights and social justice in our society. And he goes on to say, and the work continues. It's not over yet. He says to us, we must demand that women have the right to control their own bodies, including reproductive health. He goes on to share that there must be prison reform, access to education, immigration reform, voting rights, transgender rights, LGBTQI rights, and an end to police brutality and the current climate of racism. And he finally says to us, he calls us to arms by saying to the community, all hands on deck. That means everyone in this room. Say it with me. All hands on deck. That's everyone behind me right here and back of me. All hands on deck. That's everyone throughout the city of LA. All hands on deck. On behalf of our entire organization, we say thank you to the City Council for this honor. We say thank you to naming the corner that brought liberation to so many people. You will never know how many lives have been saved. Just yesterday, a mother called me from Georgia, calling that corner saying, can you help my son who is in Hollywood? Just happened this week. The work continues, and we thank God for all of everyone that's doing. Thank you.
We thank God for you. Yes. And now, and let's include, come, please. Yeah, to the side. Everyone can fit.
here if you like. Yeah. And Bex? Is this, Ron, is this yours? Oh, yeah. And colleagues, it is now time for our third honoree, and I am honored to be able to present this today to Bex Taylor Klaus. Bex is younger than our other two honorees and is having an impact on a younger generation that is in desperate need of a visible role model. And Bex is having this impact simply by living their truth and living out loud. When I was a young gay guy growing up in a conservative small town in the 1970s, I was desperate to identify with anybody or anything that I felt reflected who I was. I remember reading Catcher in the Rye and trying to pretend that Holden Caulfield was gay. I remember sneaking into a dusty old section of the Boston Public Library to find the sort of hidden autobiography of Dave Kopay, who was a professional football player who came out after he retired. I was desperate for something to identify with. And many of you can identify because for generations, the only people on television and sitcoms were white middle-class families. And over the years, with Queer as Folk and other TV shows, gay men, lesbians, and to a certain extent bisexuals have been able to see themselves reflected. That has not yet happened for the rest of our growing acronym. And that has certainly not happened for the non-binary community. And the simple act of saying, this is who I am, and saying it publicly and visibly sends ripples throughout the universe and changes lives. And that is what Bex Taylor Klaus is doing. Bex is an American actor who rose to fame for their starring role as Bullet on AMC's crime drama The Killing. They gained further prominence with their roles as Sin on CW's superhero drama Arrow. It's no coincidence that I'm honoring someone who has been on a DC Comics television show. And on the comedy series House of Lies, as well as playing Audrey Jensen on the horror series on MTV's Scream. Until 2018, Bex voiced the role of Katie Pidge Holt on the Netflix animated series Voltron: Legendary Defender. Bex is well known in the science fiction and the superhero television subgenres and can be frequently spotted speaking on panels about their experience in the entertainment industry as a queer, non-binary person. Bex came out as gay in 2016 on Twitter to their nearly 150,000 fans. Glad to see that somebody is using Twitter for positive purposes. Thank you. By tweeting, "Hello, my name is Bex, and yes, the rumors are true that I am very gay." Last year, Bex came out in a similar fashion as non-binary when they wrote on Twitter, "I came out as trans non-binary in a room full of people today. Guess it's time for me to do that on here too. Hi, I'm Bex, and the rumors are true. I'm very NB." NB, for those of us who are still trying to figure out what WTH or LOL means, Mr. Krikorian, is another way of saying NB, which of course stands for non-binary. It is a distinct pleasure to introduce someone who is groundbreaking and who is making waves and is telling young people who are struggling to find themselves reflected in society and in media that they are strong and that they are good and they are loved and they are okay. Bex.
I feel like I should stick with the varies. I am very humble to be recognized by the incredible city of Los Angeles, and I'd like to take a quick moment to thank the LA City Council, Mayor Eric Garcetti, Councilman Mitch O'Farrell, and, of course, Councilman Mike Bonin. Thank you for honoring me today. It's really cool. So there's a myth that we have to know who we are before we start actively engaging with the world. And I call it a myth because I honestly don't believe that there's more than 3 confirmed cases of that actually occurring. Part of the human process is trial and error. And there's nothing wrong with trying something and realizing you don't like it. There's nothing wrong with trying something, trying the opposite, and choosing after that. Congratulations, you've made an informed decision. In my book, queerness should operate the same way. Sure, you don't know exactly who you are or where you fit into the giant spectrum puzzle, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't dive right in and try to find your place. I didn't know who I was when I started my journey in the public eye, and I was put in box after box after box of what was deemed societally acceptable and or desirable. And it hurt. Round pegs just aren't meant to fit into square holes. After a while, I decided I was done being squashed into a place in which I felt uncomfortable. I mean, life it shouldn't be about making yourself miserable to make someone else happy. Whatever shape we are, it's up to us to find the space we fit and fill it. And it's okay to be unclear. It's okay to be unsure. It's okay to be uncomfortable. I'm going to say that one again. It is okay to be uncomfortable. We're all just figuring it out as we go along. My hope for the next generation of queer folk is that they live their lives as authentically as possible. The good, the bad, the messy, the fun, the scary, the confusing, the euphoric, the unique. We have a ways to go before that's a safe possibility throughout the country. But that should not eclipse the progress that has been made. The fact that I'm standing here today, accepting this honor, addressing this room, is proof of how far we've come, and it fills me with confidence that we can continue to accomplish more and more, because we have to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. O'Farrell, Mr. Bonham, for such an important presentation. If I may just take a quick second, I want to just make a plug to mention our Valley Pride event that is happening on June 22nd, which is a Saturday in the San Fernando Valley. There's over 1 million people that live in the Valley. For those of you who are from the Valley, we need to continue to support our LGBTQ community. I invite you all to come out on June 22nd at the Van Nuys Civic Center. It'll be a wonderful event. It starts at 5 o'clock. Please come out and support and make sure that this event continues to grow. Thank you very much, guys.
So, and we are going to have a musical rendition to lead us out. Also want to put in a pitch. I don't see Mr. Harris Dawson in here, but the Pride in South LA is Friday night. Pride at the Port is Saturday, and there is also a Trans Pride celebration happening this weekend on Friday night and all day Saturday. Thank you, colleagues, very much.
Come on, stand up and sing with us. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Well, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now here's what I want you to do. High five the person next to you and say, let it shine.
Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Okay.
Yes, we just need the honorees.
Sir.
There's another photo session. Oh boy. That way.
There's another photo session.
Okay, Mr. Gregorian, you want to speak on the closed session item, sir? Can we turn on Mr. Gregorian's mic, please?
Oh, man.
25, 26, 27, and 28 are all routine settlements. Budget and Finance has considered those matters and recommends approval of the City Attorney's recommendations. That can be done in open session unless members have particular questions or concerns.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Item number 25 in the case entitled Yesenia Ortiz et al. Versus City of Los Angeles. There is a recommendation to expend $750,000 in settlement. Item number 26 in the case entitled Eunice Horton versus City of Los Angeles. There is a recommendation to expend $150,000 in settlement. Item number 27 in the case entitled Joseph Nikravesh versus City of Los Angeles. There is a recommendation to expend $200,000 in settlement. And finally, item number 28 in the case entitled Jessica Abrams Kligman versus City of Los Angeles. There is a recommendation to expend $200,000 in settlement.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Those items are now before us. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you.
Madam President, there is a request for those items to go forthwith.
Okay, without objection, that would be the order. Mr.
Madam
Gregorian?
President, I'd also ask that item 24 be sent forthwith as well, please.
Very well. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move on to item 19.
Madam President, for the record, item 19, there is an amendment which has been posted, circulated, and now before Council.
Okay, there are two cards for this item. Patricia Mcallister, item 19. Are you here? Followed by Mr. Previn. Ms. Mcallister is speaking on item 19.
Yes, item 19 here, you want to use these funds, which is about $847,000. You're saying they're excess non-housing bond proceeds. Anything that we have access or excess should be going to housing. We have over 100,000 homeless people in Los Angeles alone. So any excess money should be going to housing, not to fix up some walls and streets and whatnot, which we will never know it was ever done. Okay, I've been going around seeing if these improvements have been done, and they haven't been done. So this is money where you can quickly put in your pockets, okay? We want that money to go to housing, and we want this Democratic council and the Democratic mayor to quit bringing illegal aliens into this city, displacing American citizens, and especially African Americans who are now living on the street. And I want people to start running for office, for mayor and these city council offices, so we can get these career politicians out of here.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Item 19.
Thank you. It's Eric Previn from CD2, and I would simply ask for a cure and correct on those legal settlements. But getting to 19A, which has been amended, thank you for amending it. What you seem to have done is, and it is what I would describe as excess bond proceeds day, multiple CRLA reassignment of money, especially in CD1 and many other districts, and it was rolled through a committee very quickly. Nobody had a chance, and this is an important aspect for the folks to be aware of. As folks remember, CRLA was money that was set aside from some increment, and then, as you know, Governor Brown said, this is riddled with corruption, let's get rid of it. There were a bunch of redissolution agencies, and everybody is scampering around gathering. We just paid $20 million, as I think you know, to the LAUSD that we had been holding. Those poor EE people who've been starving for funds, we're finally releasing $20 million as of June 3rd, so that's great news. But as for this, looks like he wants to take 150 grand and use it for a mobile pit stop at the Red Line, is how I read it, but it may be that he's something more vague, like subject to the controller or whatever they want.
Concludes,
let's get that done.
Public
Thank you.
comment on item 19. See no other speakers on the queue. Let's go ahead and vote on that item as amended. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Madam Clerk, let's move on to item 29 and 30. Mr. City Attorney, did you want to make an announcement first?
Yes, well, I believe Mr. Price has something to say on the item.
Mr. Price?
Well, a technical amendment, Madam President. I move to adopt the corrected ordinance transmitted on June the 4th, 2019 by the Planning Department and move to approve the report as amended.
I will go ahead and second that.
Thank you, Madam President. Because the ordinance didn't have the 20% Q condition requirement when we were in Plum, I think we'll reopen the public hearing. Do we have the appellants here if they want to say anything?
There appears to be one person. So why don't we go ahead, Mr. City Attorney, before we start, we want to start with the...
I'm here on behalf of Jim Childs, who wrote the appeal. He has just...
Hold on for just a second, ma'am. Hold on.
I'm sorry. So let me just ask, are there any other people representing any of the appellants here? Okay. So we'll put 5 minutes on the clock for you. I don't know if you'll need that much. If you start with
No, I won't, sir.
And I would ask that the council members treat this as a fair hearing matter. So if you please be paying attention to the speaker. Please go ahead.
And, sir, I also am speaking later on behalf of my neighborhood council. So I wanted to clarify that. Mr. Childs, who is the appellant on behalf of the West Adams Heritage Association, is recovering from surgery, so he could not be here today. He also happens to be my better half, so I'm here on his behalf. Other members of WAHA had hoped to be here today. This has been a very difficult and strenuous process for us all since the notice of preparation happened on the FIG project. We strongly urge that the appeal should be sustained and that the track maps that are provided really do not comport to what was adopted in the Southeast Community Plan, which was Flower Drive became RD 1.5. This is a very complex case. We also strongly urge that the environmental impact report be recirculated because it does not include an alternative that incorporates 100% of the development that is being proposed and saves the Flower Drive Historic District. The vision that could be brought to you is one of a district with a plaza separating the private and the public, and then having a staggered series of buildings that are not flattened to 7 stories. This would take vision, and it's not even investigated or brought forward as an alternative in the environmental impact report. On behalf of Mr. Childs, On behalf of the West Adams Heritage Association, I ask you to sustain the appeal, and I look forward to speaking to you later on behalf of my neighborhood council. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Madam.
And just before you go, can you give us your name again?
Oh, my name is Jean Frost.
Thank you very much.
And I'm speaking on behalf of WAHA. From CD8, CD1, and CD9, we work extensively with all three very respectful council people, and I thank them for their listening most of the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Frost.
Do we have the applicant here? And
So, Mr. City Attorney, I also have a number of cards. Okay, let's go ahead and take the applicant. Sir, want to come forward?
again, if you don't need 5 minutes, that's fine, but we're putting 5 minutes on the clock for you.
Honorable Council members, William Delvac on behalf of the applicant of the project, the Ventus Group. I'm only going to take a minute because this item has been considered by the city on a number of occasions. Unanimous vote at Planning Commission, unanimous vote at Plum. The tenants who first expressed concerns, we've resolved those concerns, settled appeals, relocation agreements. This is a project that's ready to go. It's incorrect to say that the environmental impact report didn't consider a preservation alternative. The record before you is complete. I do have one very important administrative or order matter, which is we ask you, Mr. City Attorney, Madam Clerk, and members of the council to vote on item 30 before you vote on item 29, given what the matters are. We'd request that should you be inclined to approve these matters, that you take item 30 at the first, and then the second one, 29. We'd like to thank city staff and especially thank the council office and his staff for all the hard work on this. This is a project whose time has come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. City Attorney?
Thank you. And as somebody mentioned, there is a impact statement by, I believe it's the North area.
I think it was Ms. Frost who indicated she had a neighborhood council impact statement. Is that right?
Yeah. So please come forward. So you're speaking not as the appellant, but as the representative of the neighborhood council. And so please speak in that capacity. We normally put 5 minutes on the clock for that. Again, you may not need it.
Right. Thank you. I'm here on behalf of the Empowerment Congress North Area Neighborhood Development Council, normally called NANDEC. And we often support development. We work very hard with the developers and with our community and residents. This is a particular tough one for us. The Neighborhood Council embraces developing this site with affordable housing, student housing, and a hotel. We think this can be achieved. We also believe that it can be achieved with the preservation of the 8 buildings that are within the Flower Drive, California Registered District. When the Carl Bean received the award today, I was remembering the Carl Bean AIDS Hospice on Adams Boulevard, which was preserved, and then the hospice was built behind it. You can keep historic districts and build positive things in the community. There is no need for a statement of overriding considerations. The problem is, where is this alternative in the draft and final EIR? Yes, they examined 2 preservation alternatives, but one of them is a no-project alternative, which in reality, we do want a project there. The other is alternative 3, which simply cuts down the number of buildings that are demolished. There is no item in the EIR that investigates a true preservation alternative that allows for buildings, new buildings, and preserves the 8 of the 19 buildings in the California National Registered District. I don't know how this project got flattened to 7 stories. I do not know why 7 stories is some sort of mantra that creates compatibility. Nowhere in the EIR does it explain how 7 stories was arrived at. It's time today to send the EIR back for recirculation to examine a true preservation alternative. I know that would be a slight delay. It would mean that today you do not accept and certify the EIR. That's what we're asking for. You don't know what the facts are in terms of the true preservation alternative. We have planning staff telling you, well, we've examined 2 preservation alternatives, but not a real preservation alternative, and not the Page and Turnbull alternatives that were examined that offered a possibility to have a win-win. When the sports arena was demolished, we understood you couldn't combine a soccer stadium and the sports arena. That was understandable. We did not object to that. We understood the necessity to move forward with a statement of overriding considerations. Do not do that today. We plead to you. There is a solution. Consider a true preservation and build win-win alternative, recirculate it, put it out there for people to comment upon, and then you and the community will have before you the facts why this alternative can or cannot be adopted. In closing, I really want to thank our council people for working with our neighborhood council. We are city officials, but volunteers. We are diverse. We are passionate. Most of the time we come to solutions. We don't have a solution here today other than look at the real alternative, then look at the facts before you and make a decision. Yes, we can do it. No, we can't do it. And then if you need to, adopt a statement of overriding considerations. I think that pretty much says it all because the record is very clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I believe we have members of the public who have just signed up for comment on this.
Yeah, we have 4 speakers on this item, and so if you it looks like they signed up for item 29 and 30, so I'll take those speakers now. Patricia Mcallister, Eric Previn, Wayne Spindler, and Arnold Sachs. You're speaking on item 29 and 30, ma'am.
Yes, I agree with the previous speaker. Let me give you some history. In April of 2019, a proposal was submitted to this Democratic City Council to tear down 8 affordable multifamily residential buildings at 3900 to 3972 South Figueroa and 3901 to 3969 South Flower and 450 West 39th Street. Now, the city is allowing a private company named Ventus, V-E-N-T-U-S, V as in Victor, group to build a 7-story mixed-use development which will have a 298 guest room hotel, which the rents will be high. This new development will have a retail restaurant, a meeting facility, 222 student housing components, 186 units of housing, and only 77 units for low-income tenants, and only 5 units for very low-income tenants. Now, this group, Ventus Groups, wants this to be voted on today. So they brought it to you in April of 2019, and May, June, 2 months later, they want you to vote on it. That's how quick you vote on things that you get money for, you know? These developers, I want to find out how much are they kicking back. You can vote 2 months on what they want. Now, you tearing down housing where people are living, and we got 100,000 more than that because you're not counting the people in their cars on the street. And you're going to have them tear down 8 buildings. Now, we have gay and lesbians on the street too, sir. So if you were so concerned about gay and lesbians, O'Farrell and the 2 homosexuals, Busciano,
Excuse me, Ms. McAllister, you got to get back to the items you signed up for, ma'am.
Let me finish. You have no business tearing down 8 developments where people live, hundreds of people living in, to let this Ventus group build hotels, and they're going to have banquet rooms and all that, and you're displacing more and more poor people in this city. I'm giving you one more warning. God's wrath is coming down on you. I'm giving you one more warning. You better start building and stop this crap.
Next speaker, Mr. Previn, followed by Wayne Spiller and Arnold Sachs. Mr. Previn, you're speaking on items 29 and 30.
Thank you. Thank you. You're not expending my time, right?
Of course we are.
Oh, okay. Then I only need 1 minute. Thank you. Okay. So you don't put 2 minutes on the clock. Thanks. I have other items. Appreciate that. So this is what it's all about here. This is the dense, tall buildings next to a beautiful neighborhood with 8 structures that are worthy of preservation. And we got Mr. Delvac here. Barbara has written the checks to the various council members. Claudian, who's working with the other guy today, but they were over talking to Marchese. Everybody is going to roll this forward, despite that compelling presentation from the woman who lives there, who knows that there is a solution, that it doesn't have to be this way. But Koretz is going to scan later the difference between Wiener and the other one, and Mickey Jackson gave some ideas about how to get the good stuff in there that the people want. It's a very tragic situation for the people who live there and for the rent stabilization ordinance units that are going to be lost. And, you know, Mr. Delvac doesn't care because he's getting highly paid and he knows that, this, as he said, it's time. This one, it's time. We've been billing on this one for a very long time. We're going to roll this one forward. And Mr. Price, he'll get him out. They got Ms. Richardson will help find him a place and cash him out. So it's a 100% City Hall day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Next speaker is Wayne Spindler, followed by Arnold Sachs. Items 29 and 30.
It's right. So today we come before you and Jesus Christ. Today's the big day. We're going to approve this wonderful development of the Fig Plus. Finally, we've been waiting for years to get this done. That the problem is you got to pay off so many people. It takes so much time. We got to do something to expedite it. We've got ourselves a housing crisis, and we got to put those 7 stories up as fast as humanly possible, because we don't want this thing to go on and on and on, and somebody gets indicted and then they can't vote. So fortunately, we've got everybody here. There's been no unsealed indictments, thank God. Let's give it a hand. Thank you so much, because I didn't think we'd be here today. Mr. Fable, I'm amazed. I did not think, but God willing, we are going to get this project through. We've been working so hard, delivering money in parking garages at midnight, going out on airplanes to China. We've been working so hard. And even Mr. Cedillo can speak basic Mandarin. It's been such a wonderful experience. To all my Chinese friends, ding dong, bong, yang, 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 bong, yang, yang.
Mr. Spindler, can you get back on topic, please?
Not on topic. And that is translated to mean that I support all the graft. I support every Chinese. Get in here. Let's build this shit while we still got a quorum. Thank you so much. God bless.
Next speaker, Arnold Sachs. You're speaking on items 29 and 30.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. For the record, it's Arnold Sachs. Fascinating. This would be related to the Coliseum Ordinance that was passed. It's posted downstairs by the front doors if you really want to take a look at that. It's like 90 pages. Holy cow. What's interesting is I like the idea of having somebody come up here and tell the council how to vote. We come up here and tell the council how to vote. We're told we're out of order.
So, Mr. Sachs, I'm not quite sure how you're on 29 and 30, so link it up, please.
You need to listen here. The man who got up and spoke first, he said he recommended that you vote on item 30 first and then vote on item 29. Essentially, that's telling you what to vote on and how to vote. See? And then you had the neighborhood council member come up, and she mentioned something about being city officials, but volunteers. Do you see where this is going? City officials are volunteers for your neighborhood councils. How do you expect those votes to go? The California National Preservation Registry Act or whatever, I think I read somewhere about how that allows affordable, like rents to be reduced by 50% for 10 years. And then, but it's perpetual until the applicant decides they don't want to do the 10-year rollover. So at the end of that 10 years, it's dropped. So they essentially get a free 10 years. And then it's 700 apartment units. And I brought this up at a meeting. They were talking about showers. And I said, that's like having one shower for those 700 apartment units is the same as having one shower at Skid Row. So you are really working this crap, I got to tell you. And who is we? We decided. Oh, and there's no EIR on the demolition. You need to do demolitions on CEQA sequel on demolitions.
Mr.
It's
Saxon.
important for your
time is
health.
up. Thank you very much. Members, let's go ahead and vote on item 30. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote on item 29 as amended. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
Thank you. Mr. Price?
I'd like to send 29 and 30 forthwith, please.
Okay, items 29 and 30 forthwith for Mr. Price. Thank you, sir. Okay, let's move on to item number 1. Okay, Mr. Previn, speaking on item number 1. Mr. Previn, you still have another minute if you want to speak on item number 1. I have you down for item number 1. You don't want to speak on item number 1? You have 1 more minute left, so which item did you want to speak on? I have you down for item number 1.
Mr. Previn, the only items that were subject to public comment were 1 and 2, 3 was continued, and we just did 29 and 30.
What about general public comment? So, one item and
Yeah, I'm
general
on
public.
item number 1 right now. So did you want to speak on item number 1 or not?
Not exclusively, no,
Okay,
I don't.
thank you very much. There are no more cards on item number 1, so let's go ahead and vote on that. Ma'am, you ran out of time, so you can speak under general public comment now after. Let's go ahead and vote on item number 1. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
Okay, item number 2, Mickey Jackson, are you here? Followed by Mr. Previn.
Actually, I signed up for 6, SB 330.
6.
Yeah.
6 was already voted on, so I have you down for item number 2.
Public
hearing was satisfied on item number 6.
I'll just speak for a minute. I didn't realize item number 6 had been voted on. I hope you voted to oppose it. I had to step out for a moment. That must have been the moment. And because these constant attempts at seizing local control that just are becoming quite regular in Sacramento are very troubling. The further away people are from the site where things are happening, the less they know about it, and the less the people who are residents and who live there can do about it. And with our housing crisis, our affordable housing crisis, we do have enough units. They simply cost too much for the people who are unhoused. Getting worse and worse and allowing things to be torn down left and right, the city's beginning to appear schizophrenic. We have a letter from the mayor that says one thing, we have actions today that say another thing.
Thank you. Next speaker, Mr. Previn, item number 2.
Madam President, have you changed the system? What happened to the multi-speaker? Have you banished that? Because you're making it very confusing for me personally, and I'm a little bit skilled at this.
So let me clarify. You're on number 2.
Right, so you're just calling items like bingo now, and now you won't honor the multi-speaker thing?
Are you not speaking on the item, so I can ask you to sit down? What do you?
Oh, okay, no, it's
Speak on
fine.
item
I mean, I
number
know what
2,
the
sir.
Studio City Business
Get back on the
Improvement District
agenda.
is. No, that's the item, and I'm talking about it, which is to say that John Walker is a very innovative man, and he was successful at capturing the neighborhood council list and taking it to the bid, and then there was suddenly about half its original size, and Krikorian loves John Walker. And what they did was they wrote to all the old-timers, and they blocked Lisa Sarkin from coming into the Studio City Neighborhood Council. It was a devastating defeat for Sarkin and all of her comrades. And I just want to say kudos to John Walker. The man has done a great deal for himself and for Studio City. And we look forward to his continued service on the Innovation Committee and providing a mobile pit stop at the Red Line Universal Station.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Your time is up. Members, there are no more cards on items number 2. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. We're going to move on to general public comment. Patricia Mcallister? Yeah, your time was up, sir. You can speak during general public comment. Patricia Mcallister, you want to come up? Please sit down, Mr. Spinner. Ms. Mcallister, do you want to go ahead and speak on general public comment?
Yes, I'd like to first say that this bill that they just passed, or this motion, or that's current prices. He's African American. That's in his 9th district, and he just put thousands of more African Americans on the street. We need to vote these Negroes out of office. I want to thank the voters for not voting for Measure EE, which would have generated a parcel tax. Parcel taxes are flat fees to property owners on the square footage of their homes. For example, the owner of a 1,000 square foot home would pay $160 every year for 12 years. The median homeowners within the boundaries of LAUSD, they would pay $288 per year until the year 2031. The homeowners would still have to pay their regular property taxes, which will increase 16% over the next 4 years. So I've gone through the budget, and I want everybody to know for the next 4 years, you're going to have the increase of 4% on your property taxes. 4 times 4 is 16. So adjust your budgets. We need to get these Democrats out of office. Register as independents.
Next speaker is Mickey Jackson. Mickey Jackson, are you still here? General public comment?
Hello again. I'll continue with what I was talking about, which is that we read a very seemingly heartfelt letter from our mayor, and yet we come here and affordable housing is being torn down again. Luxury is triumphing again. Gentrification is ruling again. And this just seems very schizophrenic. The city attorney is in writing asserting that it's not provable that the city has an affordable housing crisis. Yes, in writing. And I have no idea what is going on. It sounds like everyone is living in an egg beater. So I hope you would all, in some way, get on the same page and try to do something about our affordable, and I mean really affordable to low income people, crisis.
Okay, thank you. The next speaker is Phil Ramos. Are you here? Phil Ramos. Followed by Marco Juarez, are you here? Marco Juarez, are you here? Marco Juarez, do you want to come on up, sir? How about Zach Strasters? Zach, are you here? Go ahead, sir. You have 1 minute for general public comment.
Good morning, City Council members. Speech 11, my name is Phil Ramos with Arms of LA. We work to assist at-risk youth, veterans, the homeless, and anyone in need of a second chance. The jobs created by the oil and gas industry benefit people from across California, across many diverse ethnic and class backgrounds, including individuals who want to have good-paying middle-class jobs. Don't eliminate these good-paying jobs for local residents as well as for the potential future workers in the industry, such as members of our organization. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Marco Juarez.
Yes, good morning. The reason I'm here again is to see someone can help us. My wife, myself, we're disabled tenants, low-income families, and we've been abused for Los Angeles Community Investment Department. These investigators, Joseph Plasencia, April Aguilar, Evelyn Araujo, Marilena Diaz, they've been abusing the system. They're working for the city, and they've been charging us $18 a month for a skip. That's a lot. They're supposed to be $361, and they're refusing to enforce all reduction of services, all illegal increases of rent, and they keep protecting criminal management companies and slum landlords. Why the city needs more homeless? That's a shame on you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Are you Zach?
Hi, good morning. Zach with the Arms Organization again. And so the more that I come to City Hall, the more respect I have for you guys, councilmen and women. Thank you. It's like a zoo 4 days out of the week in here. So I just want you to know there are so many people that respect you and appreciate the work and the effort that you put in and week out up here. You'll notice Arms is going to bring in so many people to this podium week in and week out that represent those that will be impacted by something that seems unrelated, a 2,500-foot oil and gas setback. And the reason that we continue to bring in so many faces is to reiterate the point that the long impact, the breadth and the depth of the impact that a seemingly minor decision could make is going to be very powerful. For not only the consumers, but for production, transportation, and logistics. A decision like that needs to be very well considered. Please, we urge you, vote no on the 2,500-foot setback. Vote for jobs. Vote for the community. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, Vince Barraza, followed by Eric Previn and Arnold Sachs.
Good morning, council members. My name is Vincent Peraza, and I'm here to encourage keeping our community safe and keeping our industries and employment opportunities strong. Don't narrow in on an industry that supports our economy and provides good wages. The oil and gas industry has consistently fought to support diversity and provide jobs to local Angelinos from different educational backgrounds. Natural resources are foundational to our economy, national security, and way of life. Local producers here offer good, safe jobs, and have the strictest safety standards in the nation. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Eric Previn, followed by Arnold Sachs.
Thank you. It's Eric Previn from Studio City. I must tell you, a little concerned about someone said schizophrenic attitude of the council, who are alternately dropping to their knees in tears and then celebrating the explosion of another hotel. I have to ask, are we doing anything to limit the number of, because any developer can see, you've got hotel room and then you've got affordable housing. I'll take the hotel room. We've got lots of hotel, but you're investing in a TOT environment where the mayor's like this is like alcoholics just handing out more and more hotel rooms, and the mayor is the bartender who's giving away the drinks. So it's a little awkward, these big TOT. I know Englander disappeared seamlessly and hasn't appeared on anyone's internet. That's great. That's good. We're doing a good job on that, Fauble. But what about solving some of the problems and creating a city that's not fueled on an ethos of tourism, where people come and experience the low-cost hotel workers and then leave? That's not a sustainable, and you get paid a little more, so Krikorian and Cedillo can have a closed session CRLA meeting about how to spend the leftover funds in a sensible way. So thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Next speaker is Arnold Sachs. Also, is there a person, Dickie Hosinger? Is anybody here with that name? There you are. Come on up.
I'm coming up. Yes, thank you again. For the record, Arnold Sachs. Please return the ferry owners to Korea, Mr. Rue. I know they're now in Hildeland, but save faith. On Budget Finance Committee, there was an article a couple of weeks ago about the numerous funding categories that have funds in them that go unspent. So I'll give you an example. It's like having a funding category of $10 million for oars or paddles, but your boat's stuck up Schitt's Creek. You're never going to spend that money. And at the LGBTQ celebration you had today, had a celebration at the County Board of Supervisors. And Sheila K., not to be confused with Sheena E., mentioned the laws enacted because of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. She's wrong. Her stupidity is global. Actually, it's solar. CEQA before demolition, and the mayor is giving away empty glasses. He's drinking the drinks.
Thank you, sir, very much. Thank you.
Good morning, Dickie Hosinger here. Thanks for not compromising the First Amendment here and following the CARD's rules. I think that we have a long ways to go, but I think that this is going to be a good city council because Dickie Hosinger is getting ready to have some fun up here. And I'm going to tell you, to my colleagues, Hootie Hood, Matt Dowd, and Zuma Dog, we're all coming back.
Thank you very much. Members, let's go ahead and vote on reconsideration of item number 2. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote. Mr. Spindler, you want to speak on item number 2?
And while Mr. Spindler's coming up, let me tell you part of the problem is you're perfectly free under the Brown Act to use a pseudonym, but you have to have the exact same name. You can't have a series of different names, or we don't know how to track the cards.
Yes, you
okay?
do.
So if you continue to use multiple
All you have to do is
names,
call the
you
cards.
may not get to speak next time. Thank you.
No.
Okay, go ahead and
All
speak
you
on
have
this
to
item and
do
then
is
take
call
up
the
your other item for
cards.
general public
You're
comment.
selecting not to call certain speaker cards. What did Judge Copps tell you?
So let's hold this time for 1 second.
What did Judge Copps tell you
Mr.
last
Spindler,
week?
We've held your time for a second. If you want to talk about this in general public, that's fine. But right now, you're on item number 2 that you wanted to speak on, and we just reconsidered it for you. So stick to number 2.
Okay. So I'm talking about the Paul Krikorian goat on taking the money out of the businesses and giving it to other goats. And one of the things we don't like is when Paul Krikorian and T. Walker go against the community. But of course, he sits there reading his text messages like a little goat.
Mr.
And what happens...
On item number 2, I'm going to ask you to sit down.
I'm on topic talking about the supervising official of CD2, that he is a fucking scumbag. Please oppose item 2. Okay, my turn.
Okay, go ahead and take up, you want your general public comment? Go ahead, take up your 1 minute.
Yes, so Mr. Fauble, who is the attorney of Mr. Wesson, goes to court to get not 1 but 2 restraining orders from people speaking here. And yet, he just admitted that he is not calling all the speaker cards on each item. A very simple task indeed. And it doesn't matter if I sign up as Chuck Williams, Joe Blow, or Paul Krikorian's retarded gay son, H. Rag Wesson Jr. So, all you have to do is call the speaker cards on the screen and stop fucking around with games. Games have rules. And Judge Copps told you, Mr. Fauble, to please be a professional in the future. And one last thing, and Gil Cedillo always says this, when you commit crime under color of authority, don't get caught.
That concludes, Mr. Spindler, your time is up. That concludes general public comment for today's meeting. Let's go ahead and vote on item number 2. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, what's next?
There are motions for posting and referral.
Okay, posted and referred. The desk is clear, Madam Clerk.
Madam President, there's a request for item number 1 to go forthwith, please.
Okay, without objection, that would be the order.
And for item 2, the ordinance is carried over 1 week to June 19th.
Okay, that would, without objection, that would be the order as well. Is there anything else?
That clears the desk, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Members, are there any announcements? Mr. Smith, do you have an announcement? No, can we all please rise for adjourning? Excuse me, hold on. We have an announcement by Mr. Harris Dawson. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to remind everyone under the sound of our voice of the South LA Pride event on Friday at 6 o'clock at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. It's sponsored by Council President Herb Wesson and myself, and we're very proud to announce that Councilmember Price and CD9 has come on as a sponsor of the event as well. So it'll be a South LA-wide event starting at 6 o'clock on Friday night of this week at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. We hope to see all of you.
Thank you very much. Members, are there any adjourning motions? Can we all rise for adjourning motions, please? Members of the public, out of respect for adjourning motions, can we all please rise? Thank you. Any adjourning motions to my right? Seeing none, any adjourning motions to my left? Okay, our meeting is adjourned. Have a good day.